Hello, I'm Chuck McDonald with Chrysilla LLC. It's a small business consulting firm specializing in education and financial literacy to help business owners create value over time. Today, we've got a little bit of a life hack coming for you. In my 20-some years as a financial advisor, sadly, about 4 or 5 times a year on average, we would have a client pass away. And since in many cases we had the majority of the assets under our control and also really good relationships with the families, we were often tasked with helping with the disposition of the estate assets. It can be a complicated process, especially since many times the executor was a close family member and not a financial advisor or accountant or lawyer. So oftentimes we were brought on to become the experts in that area for them. Now, of course, the documents involved are usually a will or a trust, and that determines the ultimate disposition of the assets. But one of the things that I started to do for my own personal life and also recommend to clients is that they do something called a side letter of instruction. Now, a will or a trust will legally define what goes where, who gets this, who gets the art, who gets the car, who gets the money, things of that sort. The side letter of instruction, I found it to be a little bit more practical. For one, it's free. You write it yourself. Now, it's not necessarily legally binding, but if you've got a good relationship with the administrator of your estate, you've got a reasonable expectation that the wishes will be carried out. And then the other thing is that you can change it and update it just about any time. For me, I use my birthday and or tax filing time as a trigger for that. My birthday is in February. Tax time is in April, so sometime between February and April, I give it a look, update anything that might be different, and print it off, put it next to my will, sign it, and we're done. Now, what's in this side letter of instruction and how does it differ from a will? Good question. I'll share what's in mine. I happen to print a copy of it right here. Dated it, and it comes in several sections. The first one is burial, and this came from my experience of my mother-in-law passing away very, very suddenly without warning. And when she did pass away, no one really knew what she wanted to do as far as burial, cremation, or any of those choices. And when somebody passes away, you actually have to make those decisions fairly quickly. I mean, in our case, the paramedics were there at her house looking at my wife, asking what needed to be done. And that is the worst time to have to try and come up with a solution going forward. So for me, I asked for cremation, and I gave a little bit of guidance about where ashes might be spread. It doesn't really matter too much to me. If I predecease my wife, then obviously they'll be spread somewhere together. But it's nice just to give somebody some peace of mind that you've given it some thought. The next section is a big one: financial assets. And even if you don't have a lot of financial assets, you might have a lot of accounts. And those accounts might be difficult to access. If you don't have any, if you have just a will and you're going through the probate process, then access to those funds could be delayed. It could take some time for your administrator to get the ability to spend those funds on your behalf. And if you've got outstanding loans or mortgages or things of that sort, then it's obviously going to be, a little bit of a challenge. So what I have is a list of all the banks where we have accounts, our investment portfolio, where that is housed, and a listing of accounts that someone might find, just to give everybody an understanding of, all right, yeah, we've got this account, we've got this account, we've got this, we've got a couple accounts for the kids, and so on. So that's the financial piece of it. The next one is real property, so the tangible stuff. I've got our cars, the house, credit cards, just because those will probably need to be paid relatively soon. And then I also have a listing of personal property. And this was another learning from the passing of my mother-in-law, because she had a lot of artwork. She had a lot of jewelry. Some of it was very, very nice and valuable. Some of it was not. And we had no way of knowing which was which. So in my letter, I actually call out a couple of items. We've got a couple really nice pieces of artwork. We've got many pieces of artwork that aren't valuable to anybody except to us, maybe. So I take time to call those things out. I've got a decent acoustic guitar that I see my daughter kind of plink around on every now and then. And so in that situation, I actually offer it to her. Now, again, it's not legal, it's not binding, but if you've got a good relationship with the person who's administering your estate, then you've got a reasonable expectation that that's going to go to a place that where it's going to be appreciated. Next section, insurance. You might have or known somebody who's got a lot of different little insurance policies that maybe they've not kept track of, or maybe some annuity contracts or old retirement plans that might be in some sort of an insurance contract. Important thing to know as you are going through this inventory of stuff and financial assets and insurance policies, check the beneficiaries. And here is why. Even if you have a will, beneficiary designations on employee retirement plans and insurance policies and insurance contracts like annuities do not pass through the will. They pass directly via a beneficiary designation. So the halls of legal precedent are littered with people that have been divorced, remarried, forgot to change the beneficiary on their old insurance policy or their own life insurance contract or their own retirement plan, and the ex-spouse ends up getting those assets. And there's not a lot of legal leg to stand on. It's tough. So anytime you are going through this exercise, it doesn't hurt to take a good inventory of what assets like that might be out there and to check the beneficiaries to see how those designations are actually made, because that will save you a lot of hassle down the road. The next one, this is a big one now, especially in this day and age, is passwords and access to online accounts. So much of our life is on the cloud now. People don't collect photo albums. I have thousands of pictures on my phone. And if those photos were to somehow be inaccessible to anybody else that cared about you for the rest of their life, that would be a very, very sad thing. Now, for me, I use a password minder, it's an app that I've got on my phone that stores all my important passwords and logins. I think Facebook actually allows you to designate somebody as a trusted contact in case something happens to you. And I'm sure there's many, many other tools out there. Your mileage may vary. Find what works for you. But it's just very important to make sure that you're able to grant somebody access to your online life. For me, I've got, it's not as complicated as an escape room, but there's some unlock codes to my phone and my computer and instructions on how to find the files that actually get there. So a very, very good thing to have. And, in this day and age, our online presence is probably much bigger than our physical ones in a lot of ways. So it's great to have that. Finally, the last section. I call it Other People Who Can Help. It's got the name of our accountant and phone number. It's got the name and number of our attorney that drew up our last set of estate planning docs. It's also got names and numbers of people that I used to work with. So all of my financial assets are still at the firm where I used to work. And so I've got direct contact information for all of them because they know me and they probably have great understanding and knowledge about how to unwind someone passing away. It can be a very, very technical, drawn-out process depending on how much preparation was done ahead of time. And I consider this letter to be something that's a very easy-to-use, valuable, simple tool that can be created to ensure that your loved ones don't have to deal with the added stress of losing a loved one because of all of the administrative overhead that has to go with it. So it's a nice little thing to do. Again, for me, I update it once a year, take a look. We just moved recently, and so I use that as an opportunity to review and get rid of some stuff that wasn't relevant anymore, but also add the things that are new since we have a new home. So hopefully this was a helpful tip for you. If you've got any additional comments, ideas, questions, feel free to leave them in comments. And of course, if you like this material, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Appreciate your viewing. We'll see you soon.